Okay. Hi, everyone. It is just about 2 o'clock and we are ready to roll. Um, Thanks for joining us today. It's a rainy day up here in New England, so we're excited to have you here with us as we hunker down. Um, just a couple of logistics that we're going to cover first. I wanted to make sure that you are muted. So if you could take a look at your control panel and make sure that this button is red and not green, that would really help us with understanding or not hearing everyone's what else they're doing in their office. That would be great. Okay. A little bit more of logistics. So the webinar is aiming to last about 60 minutes. It is being recorded, so the recording will be made available to you after the fact. If you can't hear me, so if you can hear me or not, check your audio settings. There's an option here for built-in output. And then also, if you have any questions throughout, which I see some people have already been able to do, um, hey, Paul. Please click on the questions box and see and type in your question for us, and we'll answer it when we get a chance. I'll try to answer throughout, but if I get on a roll, I might answer during some breaks in the presentation. Okay. I am also lucky to be joined by my colleague in the water market, Paul Gannett. He's been with Onset for 22 years, and he's been very, very important in the development of our HOBO loggers, weather stations, and wireless sensors for outdoor. It looks like you guys can't see my... Can you not see my... There we go. I'm hoping that fixed the not being able to see my... Oh, sorry. I'm clearly having some technical difficulties today. Good start. Oh, don't worry. All right, so Paul's been with us for 22 years. He's helped us develop the HOBO loggers and the weather stations and wireless sensors for outdoor and water markets, and he's been my mentor here for the last 2.5 years. So I'm welcoming him to join me. He is my phone a friend if I have any questions for him too. So let's get started. We are going to, I have set this up to have a couple of polls throughout. And what'll happen is you'll see something like this pop up, and then maybe some images to help you decide. And then we will, then I'll select the poll. So let's just practice with this one. Tonight, the Bucks and the Panthers are playing for Thursday Night Football in the United States. And so I'm just playing along with the football thing and seeing if you can select which ones you are voting for. Oh, this is fun. You guys are fast. Nice response here. I'm not going to wait too long for it, but as soon as it stops, I'm going to... Interesting. Okay. It's slowing down, so I'm going to close the poll and share the results, which is something really cool that I can do. And I'm hoping you all can see this right now. So it looks like you guys don't care about the Bucks or the just kidding. So most people are cheering for the Panthers. That's interesting, and the Bucks not so much, and some people just don't care. So noting that, we are going to move on, and this is just how the polls will go moving forward. They'll be more relevant to what we're covering. So about me, I am the product marketing manager for water. I have spent a lot of time in my career in the marine environment. So this is including work with NOAA's National Marine Fisheries Survey through Florida Fish and Wildlife, the Mote Marine Aquarium at the Center for Shark Research, and I have a master's degree in developmental shark biology from the University of Rhode Island. I also spent some years, 5 years actually, on the analytical equipment side, so laboratory equipment, and I'm excited to get back out into the field equipment. So I've been here with 2.5 years with Onset. Okay, so here's our agenda. We've already covered the webinar logistics. Next, I'm going to do the product overview, some changes to HOBOlink and guidance on configurations, and ordering information and facts. And I'm really excited to introduce to you guys the MicroRX water level station. This is our cellular web-enabled HOBO MicroRX station that is now partnered with our MX2001 water level sensor. So as some of you may be aware, we have a Bluetooth water level sensor and logger that provides direct read. And what we've done is we've taken that water level sensor and have attached a telemetric or web-enabled data logger head to it. So this allows you to spend more time focusing on your results and less time on configuration and data access, meaning that the data will be pushed through a cellular service to our cloud, HOBOlink. It also has pre-programmed water flow formulas for certain weirs, flumes, and then a stage discharge rating curve, or table, sorry. Another cool thing that's new with this is we have released alarms that can be triggered at the time of measurement for water flow and accumulated rainfall. This is really cool because instead of having it be shot up to the cloud and then trigger an alarm and then the alarm is sent, the alarm can be triggered at the time that it's measured. So if you're logging intervals every 10 minutes and the alarm is triggered after 10 minutes, that's the interval, but it's as close to real time as you can get without having seconds intervals. We are using a non-vented ceramic water level sensor, and this is awesome because I have deployed a water level sensor that has a vent tube, and the maintenance of that to keep it dry inside was one of the biggest pain points for me. So we're really excited that it's non-vented, but also ceramic water level sensors are much more durable than other styles. It's very small. I'll go over the specs for that in just a little bit, but it's just if some of you are familiar, we have our HOBO MicroRX station. Our MicroRX station, which is a USB version of this, and it's very small, easy to hide, and because of some of the features, you can put it in a box and have it protected from vandalism or nature, and etc. The station also integrates with Onset's suite of smart sensors. So it comes with this is the RX2103 and RX2104. These are the water level MicroRX stations. So they include the water level sensor and then 5 ports for our smart sensors. And those smart sensors are our weather parameters, so wind speed, wind direction, gust speed, and rain, for instance, as well as temperature, soil moisture. There are a bunch of them that can be included with this system. So it's a pretty awesome, flexible system. The 2 stations, so the RX2103 and the RX2104 are the 03 is without a solar panel and the 04 is with a solar panel. So as you can see in this picture, we have the station here and a solar panel that's integrated into the station, so you don't have to have a cable coming out of your station. And we all know that the least number of things coming out of it, the better for ingress. But with this awesome new channel plugs, we are preventing that, as well as with the solar panel. The RX2103 that does not have a solar panel is battery operated, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit more detail later. We offer for the water level sensor standard and custom cable lengths up to 400 meters. So that's up to just over 1,300 feet, which is pretty awesome and a pretty good length. And if you're monitoring up to 1,300 feet, I would love to hear about your application. That's fascinating to me as an ocean person. And then we have 4 sensors that range from 0 meters to 4 meters, 9 meters, 30 meters, and 76 meters. Okay, so any questions so far about this? Okay. We're going to jump into the specifications. I have a handout here that's the data sheet. So if you look down at the bottom of your control panel, you should be able to see handouts as an option, and you can select to download that. So that's the data sheet for the water level version of the MicroRX, which is what we're covering today. And that will have all of the specifications on it, but I thought it would be important to highlight a bunch of the other specs that were really relevant to what we're talking about here. So for the operating range, I did want to note that the temperature is slightly different for the RS2104 versus the RS2103. Note that the 2104 here is with a solar panel, so we are limited down to -20, and then the 2103 is with batteries. As I mentioned, it does accept 5 smart sensors and up to 15 channels. So you could have 5 smart sensors and 15 channels if you had, for instance, a smart sensor that monitors temperature and relative humidity. That would take one of the ports, but 2 channels. And then just to keep in mind, there are limitations to how much of those smart sensor cable, the length of the total smart sensor cable system. And so that is limited to 100 meters, but that is pretty long. So I'm not sure that that's going to be a huge limitation. And then the logging rate is 1 minute to 18 hours with an interval, with the alarm notification interval being 2 to 4 minutes after the measurement. And here are the dimensions. It's just about 20 centimeters tall. So that's actually not huge. And we did this so that you could have it hidden or have less of a footprint, because we've seen some deployments of water level and flow monitoring applications where the user is forced to use this massive box to contain a battery and to contain all the station itself and a bunch of other things. So we're really excited about how we were able to squeeze this all into a little tiny package. It does use 4G LTE, and that is the only way that it will connect to the cloud. So it's not Wi-Fi, it is not Ethernet, it is solely cellular. And it is a weatherproof enclosure, NEMA 4X and IP66. So as for the water level sensors, I mentioned that there are 4, but there are actually 6, because we have 4 ranges: the 0 to 9, 0 to 30, 0 to 76, and 0 to 4. And those 4 ranges, 2 of them also come in titanium. So the 0 to 9 comes in titanium, and the 0 to 4 comes in titanium. And the only differences here are the calibrated range changes, other than the range, but also the water level accuracy is the same for the 0 to 9, 0 to 30, and 0 to 76. So that's plus or minus 0.05% full scale. And the smallest range, offering 0 to 4 meters, is plus or minus 0.075%. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. The compliance is that we have compliance statements, that these are the statements, and I have to double check on these. So please don't take this as fact. I apologize. I meant to edit that. Okay. So we are having another poll. What parameters are you currently monitoring? So I'm going to pop that up there, and let's see if I can launch that. And let's see what you guys are monitoring. While you're looking at that, I'm going to take a peek at the questions and see if I can answer any. Someone asked about the MX2001 water level logger. It's our Bluetooth direct read water level logger. Those are not meant to be submerged, the read head. So I'm I'm going to question whether your barometric pressure compensation will function. I would check that. One of the cool things with this station is that it does integrate barometric pressure as well. Okay, here's another one. Interesting, yeah. So Lance, I appreciate that question about nitrates and so on. It's definitely something that I will consider for sure. Water temperature is integrated into the sensor. So the sensor monitors pressure, water pressure and temperature, and I'll cover that in a little bit as well. Kelsey, I'm not sure what you're asking there. Sorry. Andy, so Andy has a question that says that he's only interested in water temperature and it's not listed. So if you're only interested in water temperature, you could just purchase the MicroRX, the 2101 or the 2102. And we have a smart sensor that's just for temperature. So you could get water temperature over cellular, so telemetered water temperature. But if you're just interested in logging water temperature, we have a couple of other products, and I can be sure to have sales reach out to you. James, I will be answering the barometric question in the next few slides. Okay, thanks for those questions. I'm going to close the poll and see what we are monitoring. Super interesting. We have a bunch of people doing level, a bunch of people measuring flow with a flow meter, a few other people measuring flow with a pressure transducer, and we got rain and wind. That's good. Interesting. Okay, so this is interesting. Mainly you're here for level. So I'm going to cover some flow stuff just because it's an awesome new feature that we have. And but yeah, and it's so this is exciting actually. Oh, here's my cute slides on water level, water flow, rain, or wind. Okay, so some changes to HOBOlink. This is really exciting for us. The station itself is super cool and it's awesome. But even more exciting are the changes that we've made to the to HOBOlink, which is our cloud. So the module configuration, if you can see here, if you're familiar with our RX3000s and HOBOlink, then you'll recognize what this is. But once you get into HOBOlink, and I'm actually, if there's time at the end, I'm going to show you my MicroRX that's connected. But when you're configuring the station, the MicroRX station, you have smart sensors that you can configure, readout general. These are pretty standard in terms of HOBOlink, and the battery and start, stop, and alarms. But one of the cool things now is that we have this integrated module for water level sensors, which I'm really, really excited about for you guys. So here's the question about pressure. The station logs barometric pressure. It also logs water pressure. And when it takes the water pressure and takes into account the barometric pressure, that's the differential pressure. So differential pressure is what we're really going to look at for the most part for the rest of the parameters because, sorry, one second. Because when you take differential pressure and you add a reference measurement, so a water level reference, that's how you get water level, because you're saying this is the differential pressure you're observing, and here's what I'm telling you that pressure is equal to in terms of the height of the water. So right, so that's, you take differential pressure, add a reference, and now you have water level. So something important to highlight here, so this is where you would be putting in your water level, and I wanted to make sure that you know or are reminded that the reference will be negative, or positive, depending on where your reference is taken. If your reference is taken above the sensor, so in this option, we have a sensor down here and my reference is the top of the well, then your reference should be entered as a negative value. If your reference is taken at the bottom of the well and your sensor is above it, then the reference is positive. And this is like the easiest way of entering a reference water level ever. You just put it in and find a date that it was taken at, and HOBOlink will catch the most recent data point next to that, and that's your reference. We have a lot more information on that. I'm probably going to host a webinar or maybe a technical note on that in the future. So stay tuned. And if you have more questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Now, this is the most exciting for me. I'm really, really excited to share with you that we have now added water flow to our HOBOlink possibilities. So I just want to clear with everyone that this is water flow in an open channel. And as a reminder, hopefully, the open channels are where there is an interface between air and the water. So there are a couple other standards that make it open channel, but basically the bottom line is that we have water here and air here. So this could be in a pipe. This could be in an irrigation trench. This could be in a river or stream. But if this pipe were filled with water, then that is not an open channel anymore, and our flow algorithms won't work. Okay, let's see what we have here. So I'm just going to review very quickly the weirs and flumes and stage discharge, just to give sort of like an understanding of what we can do. So if you're using a sharp-crested weir, which is an obstruction or dam that's built across an open channel, it has a sharp edge, and the water is meant to flow over it in a very specific way. The options that you can do with HOBOlink for right now are the rectangular weir, both with and without contractions, a V-notch or triangular weir, and a trapezoidal or Cipolleti weir. So this image here is a V-notch weir where we have a V, the water flows over it. It's specifically flowing over it to allow for aeration under here, for instance. And you can monitor the change in head that'll be affected by flow. So in HOBOlink, now that we have this water flow option here, which is pretty awesome, even better is that we have made this pretty seamless and user-friendly. So I, being a shark person, am not the smartest bulb sometimes when it comes to V-notch weirs. So when I was setting up mine, it was really easy to enter, like, I have a V-notch weir, here's what my notch angle was, and here's my water at the water level at vertex. And that's all I had to do other than tell it degrees or radians. And now, based off of the data that I've configured into HOBOlink, it provides me with flow. So this is flow using a weir. So this is really exciting. We also have the option for flumes to be used with our water level sensor for monitoring flow. Flumes are specially shaped open channel flow sections. They often have a restriction in the channel area and the slope with a throat. So the throat is, like you can see on this one really well, there's a little divot in here and here. This is the throat, here's the throat, and here's the throat. So the liquid that goes through flumes will often either change the level or increase velocity. And there are three really common flumes: the partial, the palmar bolus, and the cutthroat. And HOBOlink is able to configure flow for general flumes, which include those three flumes, for instance. There are so many different flumes out there, and most of them have very similar calculations. So in the beginning, this is what we are offering. And if you have any other suggestions about specific flumes that aren't answered by a general flume equation, please definitely reach out and let us know so we can look into it. So with the flumes, it's the same thing as a weir. It's just in terms of configuring and the ease of it. You are just entering in the flume coefficient, the head offset, and the head exponent. If you don't know these data or you don't understand this so much and you're new to flumes, that's cool. We have some information on it where on this Learn More link in HOBOlink, it'll take you to a guide that will, in general, guide you through how to enter these data mainly how to enter these data. What it won't do is provide guidance on which flume and how big it has to be and how to deploy it, because that's sort of not what we do. But we do, but the flume manufacturers are really good at that. And we do have a partner in Canada that has a very good site. It's Hoskin Scientific. They have a great site for flumes, and I stole a picture from them, for instance, but information as well. So I'll show you that link later so you can reference it if you need it. Okay, so we are at stage discharge table configuration. So HOBOlink has another, it's not really a primary device, but another way of monitoring flow, and that is using a stage discharge table. I wanted to spend a tiny bit of time walking you through this just in case you aren't aware that you can do this, but basically what it is, it's the way to monitor flow in an open, non-geometric shaped channel. So in this case, this is my site here. I stole data from USGS, even though it's publicly available, but they allowed me to deploy here, and it's actually been really beneficial because not only am I able to have their data on the web, but there's a staff gauge also here, and my transducer is also here, so it's just been really easy to deploy here. But as you can see, the Quashnet River is kind of not a perfect channel, and so applying a flume or a weir calculation to it is not going to work. So what I had to do was I had to use a stage discharge table. And there's a couple steps in terms of setting that up. So here's if you can see it, it's kind of dark. It was pretty cold and fall-like here, but there's a USGS water level gauge site here. And then their sensor, I believe, is in here. Our staff gauge, or their staff gauge, was here, and then my transducer is kind of hiding in here as well. So what the USGS does is they make available the water measurements with all the timestamps. The whole data series is available with a lot of information. Mainly, though, I'm interested in the gauge height and the stream flow. So as you can see, they look like they're doing this every 2 months, sorry. And so these are single data points, period, at a point. But what they're also doing is they are going across the river and they are taking subsections with a flow meter. So I've seen the USGS guys do this. Literally, they put a string in and they put it across, and they always go in the same location, and they take flow with a flow meter at each of these transects. And this helps feed the stream flow and the gauge height. But really what's happening is they're taking field data and they're entering it into a rating curve that they've made. So the rating curve just is kind of like a calibration almost. And so what this is this was the Quashnet River, which is where my my station is at the Wacoit Village. And I found their rating curve. So this was really easy for me because I was at a USGS site. So I'm going to cover what happens when you're not. But since they'd already done the work for me and I don't do transects with flow meters, I could steal from this. And what you do is you essentially pick the water level and water flow relationship off of this rating curve that brackets at least what you're expecting to see. So you're telling HOBOlink that based off of these data, and it's a big calculator and equation that you can do and so on, and I have some literature for that if you are interested, but you can enter these data into HOBOlink, and then HOBOlink takes the pressure, the water level, and basically tells you, based off of what you've told me, it is now water flow. This is the flow. Okay, so here is where you would be configuring that. So instead of picking a weir or a flume, you pick stage discharge table, and then you're allowed to enter up to 20 different relationships or pairs of water level, water flow. And once you've done that, it has a pretty good idea of what the flow is in your system. So are there any questions so far about the HOBOlink configurations in terms of water level or water flow? So I have some questions. There was a question about satellite capability. It is not satellite, it is strictly 4G cellular at this point. And if you're in an area where cellular is not available, then unless you have Wi-Fi and you can use an RX 3000, which allows Wi-Fi, our products probably aren't the answer for you yet. But that's a good question. Okay. There are a few other questions. I'm going to get to those in a little bit. So let's move on to the alarms. So as I mentioned, the alarms are pretty awesome. We have at time of measurement alarms for barometric pressure, for all the pressures, but largely water level and water flow are the key. The key parameters for the alarms. This is really awesome, especially when coupled with the the accumulated rainfall alarms that Paul mentioned in his his webinar in the end of August 21. So so accumulated rainfall plus water level flow plus water level alarms are make a pretty robust alarm system for you. Okay, so let's do another poll to make sure you're still awake. Just kidding. Let's see. This poll is about are you monitoring flow and how are you monitoring flow? Now that we've covered weirs, flumes, and stage discharge. Oh, and so while you're answering that, I'm going to take a look at questions. All right. So someone asked if Onset can build a system that integrates Bluetooth and the telemetry of the RX system so you can connect sensors wirelessly to the RX base unit. Onset definitely could do that, and it's possible that it might happen in the near future, but right now we don't have that solution. So Brian, definitely keep an eye out because we might be releasing that or not. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is a good suggestion. Another question, can the 4G be used on international networks? I believe that we do have an international SIM, and we also have a couple of other data plans that I think I did not mention. I think I deleted that by mistake, but I can definitely reach out to you and send you some more information about that, Bertrand. For stage level relations can be entered. Mohammed, I will also get. Oh, Mohammed, the answer to your question. So he asked a question about the stage discharge relations, and entering up to 20 values. So which mathematical equation is used to convert the real-time level data into flow? So actually what's happening, Mohammed, is that you've actually used, or the USGS has used, or somebody else has, when the stage discharge relationship is made. So if you look at this image here, when this relationship rating curve is created, that's when the equations are actually important to yield this. So for instance, people might use the Manning equation. But really what you're telling HOBOlink is that now that I've done all the calculations, at this stage, this is the discharge I expect. So that's what HOBOlink is using. And as I've spoken to a couple of USGS guys, and so just as a caveat a little bit, this system is, I mean, it's pretty accurate because I've actually used a couple of different ways to QA it, but the system as a whole is somewhat of a it's kind of it's not I don't want to say estimate, but it's kind of like an estimate because it depends on what calculation you're using for the water level to flow to yield the data for the rating curve, because the Manning equation, for instance, has a couple of subjective parameters or variables in it that could change the outcome a bit. So I'm not answering that very well, I feel like, but if you need more questions about it, definitely I can reach out to you. Cool. Cool. Okay. So back to our poll. Let's see. Back to our poll. We are, let's see if I can close you and share. Okay. Most people are using a flow meter. That's interesting. I would love to hear how that goes, and if maybe, for instance, this seems like an easier way of monitoring flow. After that, not many of you are monitoring flow, and then those that are using largely stage discharge relationships and weirs. So that's really interesting. Okay, let's move on. All right. Oops. All right. So we've covered the review and the product overview and the changes, and now we are on to ordering information, basically what is available in terms of the products. So this is a review here, these top two. Paul covered these in August. The RX2101 and RX2102 are the HOBO MicroRX station, no water level, but they come with either battery or solar, and then the 5 ports for the smart sensors. What we're covering today is the RX2103 and the RX2104, which are the MicroRX water level station. So it comes with the HOBO MicroRX station plus a water level sensor. So there's battery and there's solar. These are the sensors that are available. Take note, please, for those that have our MX2001, that the sensors are from the MX2001. It's just that the cable very specifically is not the same thing. So if you have an MX2001 and you're interested in purchasing an RX2103 or 04, then you will need that different cable. So the cables have new part numbers here. And we have some standard cables as well as some customizable length cables. Another cool thing that we've released is a well cap. So we had a well cap before that looked like this for our MX2001s. But what we've done is we've now changed the little disc inside that is a strain relief. so that instead of having the MX 2001, we've designed it so it would hang from this. The logger head would hang from it, but now we have a strain relief here for the cable as it leaves the well and goes up into the station. But another thing that we've done, so this is the strain relief here, and another thing that we've done is we've left an opening for the water level meter so that you can actually take the reference level reading with your sensor in place. And this is a really cool thing because, as we all know, when you put something in water, it changes the displacement or it changes the height of the water because of the displacement. And it's just going to be a much more accurate water level reference with the sensor in place. Okay, before I get into the facts, I'm actually going to answer the questions that are at hand here. So let's see. I will go with Justin asked, how do you correct for sensor drift with the level sensor? I'm accustomed to using your U20L level loggers, so I'm accustomed to having to correct for sensor drift. I'm actually going to let Paul answer this one. He's our resident genius on this. Paul, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Yeah, the way you correct for sensor drift is you enter in a new reference water level reading, and you can, and you will want to have a practice of entering in those new
I think
readings
Paul
during the
might
deployment.
have technical difficulties. Justin, I actually don't know how to concisely answer your question. So if Paul gets on in a bit, I will make sure that he can answer. But if he can't, then we will certainly reach out as soon as possible after the training. Okay. If your site doesn't have cell coverage, is there a way to manually download the data? No, there is not. Well, that's a tricky question, Robin. So I also will follow up with you for sure on that one. There isn't a way to download the data that makes it look beautiful like HOBOlink does, but there might be a way to finagle something. So I'll get back to you on that one. Oh, nice. Jim says that he's used our MX 2001 to develop a stage discharge relationship. So that is actually pretty cool. Thanks, Jim. The battery, so Robin asked about the battery. The battery lasts for a pretty significant amount of time, but there are a lot of things that can affect that. So that's why I didn't actually put it up there. I'm not sure if you can. Yeah. Basically, what happens is the battery will last with the RX 2103s and daily connections. We're saying it'll last 1 year with 2-minute logging. And then with hourly connections and 1-minute logging, it'll last 2 months. So that's for battery life. Typical battery life for the 2104, which is the solar panel one, is 3 to 5 years when operated between -20 to 40 C. Something that I forgot to mention about that is that the cellular station, the cellular version, actually has the option of either using the integrated solar panel or adding on an external solar panel that's bigger, like up to 5 watts or 15 watts, I believe, so that you can deploy the station inside of a box and then also have an external solar panel to power it. The battery option does not offer this ability to integrate an external solar panel, but you definitely can choose to get more power from a bigger solar panel. And more detail for sure can be seen in the data logger, the water level loggers. Oh gosh, sorry, the RX 2103 and 4's data sheet, which is in the handouts. And if you can't find that, just let me know and I can email it to you. Okay. How long does it take to install the system in a well? And Okay, here we go, Andrew. The answer to how long it takes to install the system in a well and to set up the software on the computer. I'm going to tell you something that's maybe embarrassing, but I'm not the smartest person when it comes to deploying stations. And I managed to deploy this station in 10 minutes. It is that easy. We've made it so easy because it has this plug and play feature. So let me show you. Here you can see actually really well. This is coming already. You'll have to plug this in here, and this is your water level sensor. And it's just a easy slide it in and it clicks on. And then here are your 5 ports for the smart sensors. So all they are plug and play. Modbus, Ethernet.
It's a proprietary bus.
Proprietary bus.
Smart
but
sensor
it looks
bus.
like an Ethernet jack for the non-technical non-engineering people. So it's super easy, and I'm hoping that you find that the same is true for you. In terms of HOBOlink, the HOBOlink is also really we've done a really good job, I think, the software guys and the firmware guys, and making it, well, I say blonde proof because I'm blonde and I can. So, yeah, let's see. Oh, Andrew, you're saying you're not seeing, you can't see my image right now, guys? Okay, it's on the agenda slide. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it.
What happened? 1 second, sorry.
Well, here I am.
Oh, and Paul's here. We found Paul.
Hi, folks.
Technical difficulties. Yeah. Okay, so are you seeing it?
Yeah. I'm seeing it here on my.
Some say no, some say yes. What happened? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me, I'm gonna try something, and hopefully that fixes it. Let's see, main screen. Oh, wait. How's that? Hopefully, what? Golly, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking though and let Paul answer that question about the U20 while I investigate further.
Yeah, sorry for the audio difficulties earlier. I was quietly talking to myself, I realized. And there was a question about correcting for sensor drift. And how you deal with that is on a regular schedule, probably maybe every month or so, you want to go in and take a reference water level reading and enter that in, and that will adjust for any sensor drift. You just go in and enter it into HOBOlink, and it'll correct for any drift that's happened over the last month. So very easy to do. Let's see.
And while he's thinking, I'm seeing people saying that they can see slide 28, and that was actually the slide that I was referencing. So if you can't see slide 28, let us know, and we can reach out after to answer that question more.
There was another question on if your site doesn't have cell coverage. Did you talk about that one?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, is there a way to manually download the data? And
I kind of.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Roughly answered it, but you go ahead and answer that better.
Yeah, we have kind of an emergency data offload utility that will allow you to do that. It's not as, I think maybe Inslee said this, it's not as pretty as our normal HOBOlink offload, but there is a way of getting that data. So no worries, you won't lose any data. It might not be as pretty until the communications is reestablished. I think you had the other questions covered.
Yeah. If we missed your question, just holler at us again and we'll catch that. How often do I need to calibrate or perform preventive maintenance?
Yeah, the sensors are pretty stable in there, and for most cases, you won't see much drift in the sensor. I mean, it's always good practice to to update it as you're out there, and so you have the latest reference levels entered in. Um, the maintenance and cleaning, it really depends upon the amount of fouling in your environment. If it's a high fouling marine environment, you may need to get out there every month or so to clean off the sensor just to stay ahead of it. If it's a pristine mountain stream, cleaning it once a year may be enough. So anywhere in between there, you probably have some experience on that already based on your other sensors you have deployed.
Okay, thanks, Paul. We're going to shoot over to the frequently asked questions and see if that answers some of the questions that might come up soon. So I alluded to the accumulated rainfall alarms. This is like so cool that we are doing this because I have talked to a bunch of users that are interested in monitoring rainfall and then the responding flow or water level. So the limitation, though, is that you can only have one accumulated rainfall alarm set. But I would also be interested in hearing those people who, with one station, would be interested or would be looking to have multiple rainfall alarms, unless it's you want different versions of the alarm. But basically, the bottom line is you can have one accumulated rainfall alarm. A common question that we get is, how should I mount the water level sensor? So if you suspend it in the well, we would recommend using the well cap that, link to the product page, that has the strain relief on it. If you do suspend it in larger wells, you can just get a reducer that'll end up fitting it to our cap. It's always good if you're deploying this in a sewer or in a river or stream or some other flowing channel to put it in a stilling well or even just a PVC pipe with holes so that it is not beaten by things flowing through and also so that it doesn't move. Do you need a well cap? Well caps are a good idea in general because they protect your water level sensor, but it's also really a good idea to have one because it also keeps your cable in place so you're not changing the height of where your sensor is in relation to your reference level. And very exciting to share with you that you can export the data to hydrology software. Right now, we are partnered is the word, but our data can be exported into NUA, the Network for Environment and Weather Applications. It's a Cornell program. And DataWise and the Florida Automated Weather Network, FAWN. And coming soon, we will have integration with Aquarius. So that's made by Aquatic Informatics. It's a great program for time series monitoring of data. So that's coming soon. Okay, I have a couple of questions more. Can I deploy the sensor in a sloping well, i.e. shore to pool edge?
Sloping well. Oh, yeah, it can be in a sloping stilling well because it's just measuring pressure. So no worries there if it's a stilling well that's going along a slope stream embankment. So yes.
And then a good buddy Steve says, do we have a sensor for corrosive environments? Titanium.
Titanium, yeah.
Yeah, the titanium sensor might work there. I know exactly what you're picturing, so yeah, we should look into that further for you.
Yeah, and double check the compatibility with the cable materials. We do specify all the materials for the cable, and if it's something that's going to eat the cable, then yeah, you might want to find another option or protect the cable in some way.
Definitely. You could pot it like everything else. Just kidding. Steve's my buddy. All right, let's see. Other questions? Oh, he's specifically talking about sulfuric acid.
Yeah, that's a question for the mechanical.
Yeah, we're going to have to, I would recommend, yeah. Well, I always say it depends on the dilution of it. If it's like 1 molar, obviously it's probably going to eat through everything that you touch. But yeah, for sure, check out the data sheet that I have in the handouts section. And it'll have wetted material on there. And there are a bunch of really easy to access chemical compatibility charts that I would recommend double checking for that. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely check on that, see with the, oh, as a gas though, and I don't, I'll have to look into that for you. I'll get back to you on that one. Would you mind following? Okay, so next slides. We also are super excited to release, for the first time ever, news about what's coming soon that's related to this. We are also about to release a water level sensor module that will integrate with our RX 3000, which is the big daddy of the water level stations and weather stations. It has 15 smart sensor ports as well as 2 analog input modules. And so what's coming, this is the RX 3000, and what's coming is this new module that will plug right into that or the other one spot. And then when you add this special cable, it's not the same cable as the one I've been talking about. And the sensor, it is the same sensor as the one I've been talking about. You will be able to turn your RX 3000 into a remote or telemetered water level monitoring solution that is a complete Onset solution and does not involve third-party vendors. You didn't see it, but I was just celebrating for you. So keep your eyes out. We will definitely be doing another release of that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to hold an all-out webinar, but I will definitely send this out to as an e-campaign or something. You'll definitely receive info on it. Okay, final poll, and someone already asked about this, which is great, but our favorite thing to do is to talk to you. So our final poll is, would you like Onset to contact you? And you can say yes or no, and if you need to enter more information, you can definitely put that in the questions. This is just a snapshot of some of our awesome technical sales team, some of whom you may already be familiar with, or some of whom you may not. And if you have a question about the technical aspects of things, or if you have a question about how you can integrate the system into what you're currently doing, or if you're excited about the RX module, just let us know. We'll reach out. We don't harass. We're really great people. Look at those smiling faces. Look at the manager of sales. All right. Other than that, are there any other questions? I'm going to leave that poll open for a bit so you can change your mind if you want, because those people who said no, I think you want to hear from us. Just kidding. Okay. Any other questions? It doesn't look like it. And if we didn't answer your question, shoot us an email. We'll send you a follow-up. Oh, what is the battery life? Jim, I just mentioned the battery life. Paul can do a snapshot, but it really depends on like logging interval, connection interval, number of parameters being monitored. There are a bunch of things that'll affect it, and also whether you're using the battery version versus the solar panel version. That is all covered really well in the handout of the data sheet, which you can also find on our website, but I just thought I'd make it really easy for you guys to download it here. And I'm hoping you guys can see that. So just click on that to download it. Yeah, I can. So if you would like to email us and not wait for us to contact you, let's see if I can do something to share. I can type sales at Onset. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just type in the email address here, and I'll send it to all so you can see that. And yeah. So I sent the answer out to everyone, and if you didn't see it, let me know. Otherwise, I think we have done it. Okay, cool. So thanks for attending. We really appreciate it. We're taking an hour out of your time. And we definitely look forward to hearing from you or following up with you. So I hope you have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.